Bailey. I'm the Director of Business Services here at the CEP. So thank you so much for coming to Tuesday Talk. And we're just sponsored by Rasmussen College, and we're very grateful for their partnership with us. And today we have Miss Sonda here. So, yay! Woo! Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty, for being here. I know that we are in the middle of quarantine, so I appreciate you guys coming out in person and social distancing from us. So today we're going to be speaking about networking, which is kind of my passion and what I do more than anything. If I can get this.
Get it?
So networking statistics, the stats is where I really want to start because not everyone really understands the importance of networking. A lot of business owners that I meet actually say, well, I don't have the time, I have so much other things to do for my business, I don't really have the time to get out there, every week or every couple days to really meet people, right? So people don't really understand the importance of it, and they may be spending a lot of money on other marketing or advertising strategies that may not be as effective as networking is, and networking is free, right? For most of the events are free. Now, of course, if you join the chamber, you are paying a yearly membership, but then you're going to all of these amazing events that you guys are doing. So there's just, it's a lot of payoff for a very small fee, and then there are organizations like BNI that obviously have discovered the power of networking, and there are so many people that are, converts. They love BNI and they go every week because they truly see the success that they get from it, right? And other organizations like those as well. So let's look at the stats here. So 41% of professionals believe that networking at business events is the most effective way of finding customers, right? 40%, that's a lot. Networking is among the most cited reasons for attending trade shows. So do you guys know what trade shows are? Basically industry-related events, right? A lot of people go to get education, to watch presentations, but 48% of those people are actually just going because they want to either meet with the vendors, and 43% are interested in just meeting with people as well, right? So that means that people are really just going for the connections. Over 30 billion gets invested every year in face-to-face communication at these trade shows. So they're not cheap, right? Participating in these, especially the larger ones, are not very cheap, but people truly see that they do get a return on their investment. Here's a fun stat. So for every 100 business cards handed out, business owners can expect at least, I'm blocking this, at least a $5,000 increase in yearly profits, right? So as you're handing out business cards, you want to kind of think, okay, not every business card is going to lead to a sale, but overall, if I get in the habit of going out, meeting people, making connections, handing out business cards, it will start accumulating, and then it's kind of going to gain momentum, and it's going to be like a snowball effect, right? It's not going to be something that happens right away. Networking is a long-term strategy. You're not going to go to one event and hand out all your business cards and then just see the money coming in, right? That's not how it works. But it's something that you do need to invest your time into. And then most jobs, 85% of jobs are actually filled through networking, right? So as business owners, we may be posting on Indeed or other job boards, or we can go to networking events and actually meet people in person that we can already see how they interact, right? It's not just a resume that we're looking at, because people can lie on their resume, right? Or they can come to an interview and they can be somebody for 20 minutes that they're not really, but you meet them in networking circles, other people can actually vouch for them, right? Other people can tell you, yeah, I see this guy all the time or this gal all the time, and she has great rapport with everyone, she has great social skills, she makes friends easily, she communicates easily. That's something that you're not gonna get in just 20 minutes of an interview or from a resume, right? So 85% of businesses have actually discovered this, and this is what they do. They go to these events and they find people. And also a lot of people that network for, let's say, one business, and then for some reason they either leave the job or they end up not working for it anymore, right? They still come to these events because they have seen the power of them, and then they're able to get jobs like that, right? How many people have we had that joined the CEP with one business, right? And then they said, well, I'm in transition right now, and then they actually met someone at CEP networking events, and now they're with another business, right? So networking works not just for business owners, but also for job seekers, for professionals that are looking to grow in their career, get to the next level. It's not just for people that own their own businesses. Business owners estimate that about 40% of their prospective customers are converted to new customers with an in-person meeting, as compared to 16% that gets converted with an online meeting. So that's a huge difference, right? That's more than double, which means that even though, yes, right now Zoom is huge, we're doing a lot of online events, but there's still a huge difference in if you're meeting with your prospect in person or if you're meeting with them online or over the phone, right? Over the phone is even worse than in Zoom. Video, at least they can see you, they can see how you speak or how you come off, right? So if you can't do in person, at least do video, right? Mm-hmm. Do not do phone. If all you can do is phone, then postpone until you can do video or in person. Because otherwise you're just cutting your chances of actually closing that prospect, right? For every dollar invested in business travel, a lot of people say, well, traveling costs a lot of money. I don't know if I'm going to get anything out of it. Companies realize $12.50 in incremental revenue. So these are from statistics, research of business owners, and actually reporting their own, expenditures and their own revenue. And this is what they found. So basically, almost a 12 times return on whatever you spend on business travel. Interestingly, bars and restaurants are the best locations to network. I guess it's really just because people are in a more social environment. People have some liquid courage. They're having fun. So sometimes these are the places. Me too. Sometimes these are really the best places. And then what's fun is that after that, 38% said that they networked at gyms. Right? So I guess that's a great way to meet people as well, right? So they're relaxed. Again, they're out of their usual work environment and they're more friendly. So this is a great way to also make connections. And then what else is there? So if you can't do in-person networking, and especially if you're a B2B business, you serve other businesses, LinkedIn is a huge resource for online networking. And over 35% of the respondents from this LinkedIn survey say that a casual conversation on LinkedIn messaging has led to a new opportunity, right? How easy is it to send a message to someone on LinkedIn? Takes seconds, right? The main part of it is really finding who it is that you want to message, right? But this is something to really keep in mind. LinkedIn is free. Yes, you can have a premium profile, but you can also just get on there for free if you're just starting out and you're just learning, right? And then you can actually find, let's say you're looking to connect with a business owner of a specific company. You can probably look them up and find them if they're on LinkedIn. And then you can message them directly instead of having to call their office, having to try to go through a receptionist, right, that gatekeeper. Here, you're going to them directly. So this is huge. If you guys are serving other businesses and you're not on LinkedIn, you need to be on LinkedIn. So now, we're going to go to the next part of this. Networking success. So Jack Canfield, author, successful entrepreneur, everyone pretty much knows him, right? He's got some great advice about networking. He says that the more time he spent on networking and cultivating relationships, the more successful he became. And this is a very successful guy, right? So he swears by networking. Woody Allen, 80% of success is just showing up, right? So you don't have to go to events and be the life of the party. You just have to show up and not be weird, right? And then it's really just that visibility. The more that people see you, the more credibility you have, right? Because they know that you're not just a scammer that came to one event, tried to sell people and then left, right, to go to the next city. This is someone, if I see somebody at networking events, I see Colin all the time, I can trust Colin, right? Yesterday, I had somebody ask me for a referral for the business that, he's in, and I thought right away of Colin because I see him at every single event, right? So that's just one way that you can get more credibility because you are interacting with people and people are going to remember you and people are going to be able to vouch for you. Now, when you're looking for a service, wouldn't you rather go to someone that your friends know and can say, yes, this person is legit, yes, this person can actually do what they're saying they can do, as opposed to just doing a Google search, right? Yes, Google search is huge, search engine optimization is huge, but it's that trust, right? It's the credibility. You just trust someone more when they're coming from a warm referral as opposed to just someone that you find by Googling, right? So become visible. Visibility is huge. Now, yes, visible at networking events, but also what about online groups? There are so many groups on, let's say, Facebook, right? You find the group that makes sense for you. There are so many business owner groups, or probably financial advisor groups, or health groups, right? Medical groups. Just find the one where the people that you want to connect with are, right? Join that group. And then guess what? When you're a member of a group, anytime that you share something in that group, the other members get a notification, right? So it's not like you're just sharing on your timeline and then whoever sees it, whoever doesn't. They get a notification. They're gonna see what you're posting, right? Now, you can also start your own group. That's another great way. And you can start inviting people. And now what's happening is that you're becoming a connector, right? And when you become a connector, you hold a lot of power. So connect with connectors, first of all. These people that run events, host events, the people that run the groups are the admins. Those are the people that you really want to connect with and become friends with, right? Because then you're not just starting from scratch. This person that you've connected with has already created a large network, right? So now, if you become connected with them, they can keep connecting you with people, and right away, it's already a warm referral. It's not just you networking by yourself, right? So connect with connectors, and then also become a connector. Once you start going to events, once you start knowing people, you're growing your network, guess what? People love it when you're able to give them a good referral, or when you're able to connect them with someone that can help them grow, right? People are incredibly grateful for that. And then guess what happens? They start connecting you. You give them a good connection, they're gonna give you a good connection. They're gonna think about who can they introduce you to pay back for the introduction that you gave, right? So it starts becoming a mutual relationship where you guys are sending people to one another, right? So you want to become a connector yourself. And it's super easy to become a connector. When you go to these networking events and you're growing this network, as long as you're following up with the people after you meet them, you're sending, an introduction, a follow-up email. Hey, we met yesterday. It was great meeting you. I would love to, chat with you further, or I would love to grab coffee. That's the best way to really keep growing your network, right? Because so many people go to networking events, they'll take a business card or they'll give their business card, and then they'll never follow up. What was the point of going to the event, right? Because then the people think, okay, well, yes, we had a great conversation, but they don't care enough to follow up. And you should never leave it to the other person, because those people are busy too. If you're the one that's actively trying to grow your network, take it upon yourself to make sure that you follow up with every single person that you met, right? And just keep growing. Save those business cards. Either scan them into a digital folder or just save them in just a regular folder, right? I have those regular folders because I don't have the time to scan everything. But then when somebody is asking you for a referral, you have that database, right? And the simplest way, if you do have digital business cards, you just shoot that over to the person asking, right? Or what I like is I'll put them into a group text, right? Or I'll send a professional introduction email. And I'll say, hey, Tom, I met this person yesterday. They would like to speak with you further about your services. Could you please connect with them? It takes me 30 seconds. I've made a connection for these two people, and they're going to really benefit from this, right? So it doesn't take us a lot of time, but it does elevate our own credibility, and it also elevates the connection that you have with the people that you're connecting, right? They're going to be grateful to you. And then adding value. So whenever you are at networking events, whenever you're meeting with people, you don't want to have a taker's mentality, right? You don't want to start thinking about, okay, what can this person do for me? Do I want to get to know them? Will they be beneficial to my business? And then, if not, then, bye-bye, I'm out of here. I'm going to talk to the next guy. You always want to have a giver's mentality. You always want to think about, how can I add value to this person so that they see that it's beneficial for them to get to know me more, right? So, and we'll go further into this. When you're at networking events, one of the main thing in marketing is you have a target client, right? You have to identify who your target client is so that those are the people that you can market to, right? If your target client is everyone, you're really not going to be reaching anyone. You want to focus on the people that will give you the greatest return on investment and spend all of your marketing budget really going after that target client. Now, with networking, it's completely different. With networking, if you go into an event and you say, okay, I only want to meet plumbers, and if you're not a plumber, I don't want to talk to you, that's not how networking is going to work for you. That's not how you're going to become successful. So in this instance, when you're networking, you don't want to think about your target client. You really want to just consider, okay, I want to make connections that will turn into genuine relationships that I will have for a long time, right? These are people that not only am I going to become professional acquaintances with, but I'm going to become friends with them. We're going to have a real connection, you know? So that's how you really want to think about it, because guess what? This person may not be your target client, but maybe their sister is, or their brother, or whoever they have in their network, right? And then when you build that connection with them, then right away you're getting access to that network as well, because guess what? When one of their people from their network asks, hey, do you know someone that does this? They're going to think about you, right? So even if they're not your target client, you never know who knows who, right? And when this connection will pay off. And then also consider referral partners. So what do I mean by that? Our family owns pediatric practices. When I'm going to an event, and let's say if I'm representing the practice, yes, I could be looking for moms, right? But how many kids can a mom really have, right? I'm gonna tap out at some point if I meet one mom, which is my target client, right? Now, what if I meet a pediatric dentist? These people are gonna be seeing hundreds of kids, or however many kids they see, every week, right? And then, guess what? Those same people, those same parents that are seeing them are gonna ask them, do you know a pediatrician that you can refer me to? And guess what? If we have a good connection, I'm the one, our practice is the one that they're gonna think about, right? And so referral partners are actually more beneficial for you than if you're out there trying to find your target client, right? It's gonna pay off way more in the long run. Always follow up, we spoke about this, professional intro emails, and saving business cards. I guess I skipped ahead. So, topics of conversation. When you are at a networking event, do some of you feel kind of awkward starting up a conversation with people you don't know? A little bit, not all of you? Okay, so here are some things that you really want to think about. You don't want to speak about yourself. People love talking about themselves, right? It's our favorite topic. It's what we know most about. But guess what? People don't want to hear it because they want to talk about themselves. So if you're that person that lets them talk about themselves and you show that you're truly interested in what they have to say, and you become a listener and you become known for being a good listener, that's how you're going to form relationships way easier than if you are saying, well, this is what I do and this is my business and blah, blah, blah. When they want to know about you after they've already told you about themselves, they're going to ask you questions. They're going to say, well, what about you? What do you do? And then when prompted is when you start giving them a little bit of information. But again, you don't want to give them too much, right? You don't want to go on this long rant. You want to keep it very simple. And then if they're interested in learning more information, they're going to keep asking you questions. And that's when you give them a little more and more, right? Or they're going to ask you to meet for coffee later or lunch later, right? Because you've intrigued them. You've kept that air of mystery, right? Without telling them all the details right away. And that's really what you want, right? You don't want that relationship or that connection to end at the networking event. You want it to keep going. So that's why you always want to leave that little bit of mystery that they want to get to know more about, right? So one good thing to start with is, okay, you've met someone, they told you their name, you told them yours. So tell me more about yourself and your business. That's kind of the number one question, right, that we all ask. And then they start talking, and then you ask follow-up questions. So a good follow-up question is, what are you working on that you're the most excited about, right? What do you enjoy most? Because then you see that person light up when they start talking about things that they're passionate about, right? And then they have that feel-good feeling that they associate with whatever their most exciting project is with you, because you've shown them that you care about it, right? So this is a very good question. And then once they tell you what they're excited about, a good follow-up is, what obstacles are you facing? How can you make this thing, this big project that you're working on, how can you make it more successful? Are there any struggles, right? And you kind of want to hear them out, if they're willing to share, of course. If they're saying, no, everything's going great, great, awesome, you know? But if they are facing some challenges, sometimes people want to, bounce those ideas. Sometimes they want to share and see maybe you have some input that can help them, right? Because a lot of the times when we are working on something, we only see it from one perspective, right? And we can keep thinking about it as hard as we want, but if we don't have another perspective, if we haven't had other experiences that could give us more insights into this, we're gonna keep thinking the same thing. We're gonna keep coming up with the same results, right? But when you start talking to other people who have maybe already faced something like this, even if they're in a different industry, they can give you some advice, right? And that's where you want to be. You want to be able to give advice. So not only once you get these obstacles, if you can give them advice, that's perfect. And you can also ask, what would help take you to the next level? And then guess what? If they say something that you can help with, that's where you are really gonna become someone that they really wanna be connected with, right? So for example, and a lot of people say, oh, let me know if there's anything I can help you with. Guess what? If you don't know what that person does, that's a very vague statement that no one will ever take you up on, right? People know that I do marketing, but if you just met me and you don't know exactly what I do with marketing, how can you know what I can help you with, right? So you want to really listen to what it is that they're looking for help with, and then if they tell me, well, I really don't know how social media works, I'll say, guess what? Social media is super easy for me. It would take me nothing to sit down with you for an hour over coffee and to tell you how it works. It doesn't cost me anything. I love talking about this stuff. But for them, it could be a game changer, right? It could be something that they were not familiar with at all. And by me just taking a little sliver of my time and talking about something that I already know, you could be changing their lives or their business. And they will be forever grateful to you, right? So you don't want to offer something huge, right? You don't want to start helping people and giving them services for free left and right. But if it's something that's not gonna cost you much, if it's just a little bit of time, why not do it? Why not share that knowledge, right? We all have expertise that we can share, so why not put it out there? Because then that gives you more and more credibility, and it makes people like you more, because guess what? You're helpful. You're a giver, you're not a taker, right? So, add value. Offer your expertise or your advice. This is what we spoke about. Offer to help at no charge. Again, don't do this where you're going bankrupt and you're just helping everyone for free, right? But if it's something that's not gonna cost you, why not? And then connect them with people that can help them. So again, become a connector. This is a huge, huge thing. I became a connector. When we started doing our networking events, and again, we're a marketing consulting agency, right? So when we started doing networking events, it was my marketing strategy for me to get more clients. And then I have been able to grow my network to a very large network in about a year and a half that we've been doing this. And now I'm a connector. And now when someone asks me, do you know someone that does this? I always know someone that does that, And so people come to me and they ask me, but sometimes it goes overboard because they think they can ask me just anything, even outside of connecting them with people. And I'm like, okay, listen, I don't know everything. I know people, right? But when you become that person, trust me, opportunities just start rolling in, because then people think about you. And when other people ask them, do you know someone that does this? You're the one that they think about, and it really starts snowballing the more you have and the more you grow your network. So I cannot stress this enough. Okay, I wrote a novel here. I'm gonna try to summarize it, but we already discussed most of this. So again, listen more than you speak, right? You wanna show people that you care about them, and you wanna express genuine interest that, yes, I'm not just faking this, I'm not just pretending to be nice. You wanna actually be a good person, right? You actually wanna care about them. So people love being heard, and that's what you want to give them. Only talk about yourself when they ask you. Don't share very personal information too soon. So you just met someone, you don't want to start giving them all of your drama that you've been going through, in the past weekend. So you just want to give them very surface information on this first, time connecting with them. And then as you get to know them, you can become more and more personal. Because once you start becoming personal, once you start becoming more vulnerable and sharing more of yourself, that's when the connection becomes stronger, right? But if you do that on the first time you're speaking with them, that's a great way to scare people off, right? Because they're gonna say, if I keep connecting with this person, if I keep meeting with them, they're just gonna be talking about their drama the whole time. Why do I need this, right? So you want to really keep it professional, at least at first. Stay away from controversial topics. So we all know this. We don't want to talk about politics or religion, or we have so many, controversial topics going on right now. Try not to talk about it on social media too much, or try not to speak with people about it when you're meeting at networking events too much, right? Because that's a great way to scare people off or to turn them off, because they're like, whoa, I don't believe, I don't agree with this person at all. But maybe this could have been a great connection for you, right? So this is something that you want to avoid. Again, if you're gonna start becoming best friends with this person, you're probably gonna discuss it at one point or other, right? But again, don't do it on the first meeting. Make eye contact. This is super important. So when you're speaking with someone, usually people make eye contact less than 50% of the time. And guess what? When you're not making eye contact, that makes you appear less trustworthy, right? People may think that you're lying. People may think that you are not confident in what you're talking about, right? So you really want to stay at that 60 to 70% of the time. So you're not going to be playing a game where you're not breaking eye contact at all, because then you're going to scare them, right? But you definitely want to be conscious of it, because that's how you make a connection. That's how people know that you're actually listening to them, right? You don't want to be on your phone. Let me put that in there as well. You don't want to be texting on your phone when someone is talking to you, right? If you're waiting for an important phone call, for example, but you have a networking event that's starting and you're speaking with someone, tell them. Say, hey, I'm waiting for a very important phone call, so if that comes up right now, I'm gonna have to take it, but I would love to continue this conversation afterwards, right? So just tell them right away that I'm not being rude. Or, okay, I got a text and it's an emergency. Just say, I'm so sorry, I really have to answer this, I'll be right back. Don't just start texting back while they're in the middle of a conversation with you. That is the number one way to really turn someone off, right, when they're networking with you. Always have business cards. Don't go to any events if you don't have business cards. If you don't want to print out business cards, you can have a digital business card, but not everyone knows how to use digital business cards. So I recommend having both, and then really just asking the person, would you prefer a physical card, or would you prefer for me to just send you my digital business card? Don't check your phone. Don't get drunk, right? So it's okay to have a beer or two or a wine or two. I usually do. But you don't want to get sloppy, right? Because guess what happens? You become a little too happy. You start divulging a little too much information, right? Or some people get handsy when they drink. You don't want to be that person, right? So just keep it down, right? So if you want to have a beer or two, go ahead. Some people actually find that liquid courage to be encouraging for them to actually go out and start making conversations. When we have networking events, I always have beer and wine, because I know that my networking events are more successful when we have beer and wine and more people come, right? So, but definitely just keep this in mind. Don't go overboard at networking events. Use your body language. Okay, so this is huge. You want to use your body language because it has been actually reported in research surveys that 7% of what people actually hear is your words, right? Or what they actually get from you are your words, which you're saying. Most of what they are perceiving and what they're actually paying attention to is your body language, right? So for example, if I'm having a conversation with you, but I'm standing like this, you know that I'm not really in the middle of this conversation. I'm not really engaged, right? Mm-hmm. So you never want to have your arms crossed. You never want to face away from the person that you're speaking with. Even if I'm looking at you like this, but my feet are like this, that means I'm ready to bolt, right? So you always want to be very, very cautious of the way that you are being perceived with the body language that you're using. And we'll go more into this. Let me see here. Okay, so be confident. If you are not confident at networking events, people aren't going to want to really talk to you. They want to get to know people that are confident because that gives them the perception that you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing, and you are someone that they want to have in their network, right? So how do you portray confidence? First of all, you want to stand up straight. You don't want to slouch. You want to widen your stance, right? So you're not just standing like this, which is kind of weird, but just give yourself a little more space, because then you just feel more confident when you're taking up a little more space, right? Hold your shoulders back, again, no slouching. Keep your chin tilted towards the sky. You don't want to be like this. This looks super not confident, right? So just always have your chin up, and then slow down your speech and body movements to not appear nervous. I actually have a problem with this because I naturally speak very fast, and I always have to tell myself, like, okay, slow down, right? But a lot of the time, if you're talking very fast and you're stuttering, and you're kind of stumbling over your words, people think that either you're nervous or you're lying, right? So always be very mindful of this as well. And then let me see. Okay, so one way to really have some confidence when you're going into these networking events is to think back to a time when you were confident and when you were enthusiastic and excited. And think about that, right? How did you feel at that time? How were you acting at that time? And then just get back in that. Get back in that state. Get back in that mindset. And that's how you can bring it, that same confidence, that same enthusiasm to this new opportunity, this new event, or wherever you are that you're meeting with people. Align your body with the person you're talking to, and if you're leaning just a little bit towards them, that shows them that you like them, it shows them that you're listening to them, and it shows them that you're engaged in this conversation, right? So not in a weird way, but just a little bit, right? As opposed to maybe leaning back or somehow, showing that you're kind of still disconnected. And then this one is fun. Raise your eyebrows just slightly when you meet someone new, because research has found that when you see someone that you recognize and like, you instinctively raise your eyebrows just a little bit, right? So this is what you can actually do to new people too. And right away, they're already programmed to know that this is what people that know and like them do, right? And I do it all the time. My eyebrows go up and down all the time. But so this is something that you really want to think about, and it's not something that you think about just like consciously, right? But you have to program yourself to really do these little tricks, and you'll see that it really does work in helping people like you better and forming stronger connections. Mirroring the other person's body language and facial expressions. So when you're speaking with someone and they cross their legs, give it maybe 30 seconds and then you cross your legs, right? If someone maybe leans back on their chair, give it a couple seconds and then you lean back, right? If someone tells you a story and you can see that they're really upset about it, give them a little frown, right? So this way you show them that you're engaged with them, and also on a subconscious level, they're connecting with you because they feel like you guys are very similar, right? They don't know that you're doing this on purpose, right? And you don't want to be obvious about it. You don't want to do it right away after they do it, right? But you do want to be conscious of mirroring. This is a huge concept. A lot of people have written books about this on body language, and mirroring always comes up as one of the first points when you're trying to form a connection with someone. Use touch sparingly, maybe kind of like pat them on the arm, or, hugs are huge. I love giving hugs to everyone outside of Corona, but it definitely, it shows that you're friendly. Don't overdo it, don't harass people, but when you're giving it just ever so slightly, it forms a connection. It just forms a closer connection. That's all it is. And then avoid touching your face too much. A lot of people assume that if you're touching your face, or let's say you're kind of like holding your neck, or like right here covering your chest, that kind of gets misconstrued as you either lying or you hiding something, right? So you want to stay away from your face. You want to stay away from just this area here, right? I talk and I move my hands a lot, and that's fine. If you don't really move your hands a lot, just keep them by your side, Don't bring them up here. Don't twist your hair, or I know you guys won't, but just don't touch anything above here, right? So that's one way to just not appear dishonest or not appear nervous. And then I've got some references, so I'm pretty much done with my PowerPoint. Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
Let me see here, I'll ask. On Facebook? Matt Wilkerson says Sonda for president, so that's good.
Matt Wilkerson always says that, but he also says it to other people, so I don't trust him.
That's funny. Mr. Verizon. This was great. Thank you.
Awesome.
From Tristan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've only been pestering Andrea for like a year to let me do this. Thank you guys.
I appreciate it very, very much.
I appreciate you. I actually fell on my way over here. I slipped on water in my bathroom, and it's probably how I was gonna die. But
Yeah.
I had a mission to be here today, so I have Band-Aids all over.
So I saved your life is what you're saying. Oh, good.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much.
I have one. What's a good approach while at a networking event? What's a good approach?
A good approach as far as...
Yeah.
I think all of these are good approaches.
Can you clarify here? I'm not
Probably
sure.
like, you see somebody you don't know, what do you go up and say? That's probably what they're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. You just walk up to them and tell them,
So, first of all, when you're walking up to people, you don't want to be walking up to a group of people if they're very closed in. You can see that they're having a very intimate conversation. Those are the people you want to leave alone, right? Now, if you see a group of people and they're kind of, standing in a wider circle, there's some space for you to come up. That's a great way to just kind of slide in and say, hey, my name is Sonda, and you just make one connection with one person, and then you slowly, these people stop having their little inner conversation. Hey, my name is Sonda. And that's how you slowly start that conversation in a group. Now, if you see someone that's just standing by themselves, then that's much easier, right? You just come up to them. Hey, how are you? Just start small talk. But then after that little small talk of 1 or 2 minutes, that's when you really start going into the, inquiry portion of it, where you're starting to ask questions.
Okay, so Mark said, I'm more prone to standing in the corner and waiting for people to come to me.
Okay, so yes, a lot of people that are shy do that, but there's really no point of going to a networking event if you're gonna do that, because most of the time people aren't going to come to you, especially if you're hiding in a corner, because that shows them that you don't really want to be bothered, right? If you're standing by yourself and you don't really have anyone to talk to, just circle the room, right? Walk around, go get a beer, go to other places, right? And then always keep an eye out and see who else is around that looks like they're, approachable, or that they're also looking for a conversation. A lot of the time, again, the open groups are the best way, right? Because if there's, let's say, 3, 4, 5 people in a group, most of the time, a few of them are in the middle of a conversation, or one person is really speaking, but then there's usually 1 or 2 people that are kind of just hanging out, right?
And I think like the buffet or the bar, where it
Exactly.
can be, a conversation that is just started about, what they're eating, or have you tried this, or, something like that, where it doesn't have to be, and then you can say, oh, by the way, I'm Andrea, and nice to meet you. And then Miss Bonnie is asking, outside of Corona, guidelines for physical contact, because I am a touchy person. Is it okay, or is it too much?
It's not too much. It's not too much. And tell Bonnie, hi Bonnie, for the handshakes, right?
Right.
I didn't mention this actually. You want to have a strong handshake. Not to the point where you're squeezing the crap out of them, but also not where, it's just kind of like a few fingers. Because then that shows that you're not confident. It shows that you're not really, there. So you always want to have, first of all, a good handshake. If this is not your first time meeting them, a hug. That's huge, right? People tell me that they love my hugs. Guess what? This is what I'm remembered for now, because when I see someone that I know that comes to my events all the time, I'll give them a hug, and that makes us more personal. That makes our connection more personal. So there's nothing wrong with touching, I mean, we all know what normal touching is and then what unwelcome
Most of
touching
us
is,
know.
right? Yeah.
Most of us know.
What's a good introductory LinkedIn message? Somebody you don't have a connection with, but
Mhm.
somebody you want to connect with. So, hey, we both went to UF together, or something like that.
That would be great. Or even just, if it's someone that you're trying to connect with because you're trying to sell to them on LinkedIn, then you can kind of say, hey, I don't want to say, I usually start with a question, right? I use LinkedIn messaging not so much to make connections, just because I make connections at networking events, but I use LinkedIn more as a way to sell to people, right? So for example, at my events, we usually have sponsors and vendor booths. So when I'm reaching out to people on LinkedIn, I'm gonna start with a question. And I'm gonna say, hey, do you guys ever market your business at networking events, right? And then if so, I have a great opportunity for you. This is what my business does, right? And would you have a few minutes to discuss this further? Or would you like to review some more information, right? So here, of course, we're going a little beyond networking and we're getting more into selling, but I'll tell you that it works. This is one of the main ways that I'm able to find vendors and sponsors for my events. Now, if you're just trying to connect with them, first of all, if you have a connection such as we went to high school together, that's huge, right? Obviously use that, hey, I'm Colin, I remember you from high school, how have you been? Would love to catch up, right? Something simple. Don't write paragraphs. Nobody wants to read a paragraph. But if you don't have a connection, you can just say, hey, great connecting with you on LinkedIn. Would love to get to know you a little more. Would you like to grab coffee, or would you like to get on a 15-minute call to get to know each other more, Now, if it's a very busy executive or business owner who doesn't have time to just get on a phone call with every single person on LinkedIn that messages them, right? Then you want to kind of get to the point. Like when I get messages and it's really just about let's be friends and how can I help you, I don't answer them because I get them all the time. And I know that most of the time that I get that message, the next message is going to be them following up with trying to sell me something, right? So if that's your main point on LinkedIn, we know that that's what we're all there for. So don't waste my time. Just go directly into what it is that you're looking for, because otherwise you may not get a response. So that's my 2 cents on LinkedIn.
Are there any in-person networking events coming up soon?
What about the chamber? Are we doing business after hours?
We're not doing, well, it's probably going to be a Zoom. We will have exceptional mornings because we can socially distance at that.
Yeah, we're kind of waiting as far as doing live events. We used to do like 1-2 events every month, and so we had a lot of fun. We met a lot of people, but I'm gonna just kind of hold off now. The numbers are still going up, and I don't want to be held liable for anything.
Yeah. And then we do have for depending on the age, YPO this Thursday at Sayulita, but it's outside, so it's kind of just.
YPO is a great group as well. So but do you have to be a part of the chamber to join?
Not to be in YPO.
Not to be in YPO.
Right.
Okay. So
You
that's
do not have to be a CEP partner to be in YPO.
Yeah, and that's a more social environment.
Yes.
So that's a
yeah.
good one.
And really, again, it's a hard one because we've kind of taken a hit on some of those things, but we are trying to, still make it, a value to people. So this Thursday, from 6 to 8, at Sayulita. So it's just kind of a networking, hanging out, grab a taco and a beer, and have some fun.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
If there's tacos, I'm there.
If there's beer, I'm there.
My spirit animal.
Anyone else want to share anything or have questions? All right. Well, again, thank you so much for letting me do this and be here with you guys today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm going to share this.
Okay, finish. Sorry, I was